Hello, welcome everybody. It's a pleasure to fly today to Chicago, to the United States of America, and we meet with Jessica Corvo. And Jessica has a very interesting story because she does a lot of things that I really like. If you have a look at her homepage, at LinkedIn, you can see that she has done not only work for Fortune 500 companies, like 10, 15 years. And then she went to focus mainly on health. And well, she has done a lot of amazing things, like I said, from Vipassana. Then she does also, she's a resilience expert. And I really like how you put it on your profile, the stronger together, cultivate a warrior mindset. And I think it's always important, and especially now during this pandemic. So without further ado, because I could speak more about all your accomplishments, because you also did an Ironman in 12 hours. That is also amazing. So for all the sports people that are watching us, I do myself, I love sports. So this is quite an accomplishment. But let's welcome Jessica. Jessica, I hope you're fine. How are you doing?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for inviting me to have a chat with you. It's delightful to meet you, and it's beautiful, sunny, every day Saturday in my world. Beautiful Saturday.
Yeah, we had some issues because you were telling me, no, we meet on Friday, and it was actually a Thursday, and I said, yeah, it's actually tomorrow. So we took it with humor and exactly. Jessica, you lived also in many different countries. Maybe we could start with this biographical thing. This is also interesting from the intercultural perspective. How do you feel actually? Do you feel more like a world citizen or more like a US? Or how do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the US, and the first time that I traveled for an extended period of time was my junior year of college. And it was East Asian term. So we spent a couple weeks in Japan, a couple weeks in Hong Kong, a couple weeks in Taiwan, and then like a month and a half to almost 2 months in China. And then we went to Hawaii to reacclimate, kind of mix between, decompress from Asia to back to the US. And I guess I fell in love with it. I mean, growing up with a Chinese mother and Italian father.
A Chinese mother and?
Italian father.
Italian father.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Corvo. Wow.
Yeah. And I think like from that perspective, you get, I wouldn't say it's an identity crisis, but you get the best of all sides, because you understand this is on how Americans do things. This is how the Chinese family does things, and this is how the Italian family does things. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of similarities. And even with all of my travels around the world, because junior year of college was the first time spending time overseas. I loved it so much. Once I graduated, I booked a one-way flight to Hong Kong. And then I stayed there for a couple of years. And I went to Singapore and then China and then back to Hong Kong. And, Indonesia was in there for a bit, but that was a total of 11 years in Asia. So I think, the beauty of my upbringing was understanding, what's the difference? Is it a dumpling? Is it a ravioli? Is it a noodle? Is it pasta? Do the parents have conversations with the doors open or with the doors closed? I mean, I think these are all kind of the similarities and the fun parts of, the Chinese heritage and also the Italian heritage. Number one, everything is about food. Everything. You're upset, eat something. You're sad, eat something. You're angry, eat something. You're single, eat something. Everything. Food was the solution for everything.
But well, food is important, but I see that you, not only from your LinkedIn profile, but from your activities. And when I see you now, you're very sportive, no? And we mentioned already the Ironman. So probably after the eating, you train, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, it's after spending so much time making money and living corporate and doing things that society tells you to do, go to school, get the job, climb the ladder, make the money, tick the boxes, right? I got all the way to the top. I hit my financial targets. My goal was to put away money so that I could retire my mother and then be a support function to my family. And once I no longer had to do that, it was, okay, what do I want to do for fun? Because did I really enjoy what I was doing? I was good at it, but did I enjoy it? I didn't have balance. I was working, around the clock. I was doing a lot of very fun things, but there was no balance for me. So when I had time off and I started thinking, okay, if money is no longer part of the equation, what would I want to do, spend my time? And then every couple of months, I add another thing to my toolbox. It started with coaching, and then it expanded to fitness, and then it expanded to nutrition, and then it expanded into workshops. And every, about 6 months, I added a new service to my offerings.
Wow, wow. How did this process begin? So you were doing these corporate jobs, but normally, well, it depends, no, for everybody, but this transformation takes some time sometimes, no, because we are so much focused, like you mentioned, on the society, how they raise you up, etc. No, everybody wants something from you, and in the end, you are the last person. And also, how did you find about Vipassana, and what did it brought you?
So my family is very interesting. My mother and I are very, very, very close. And I would say that upbringing was actually pretty good. My parents, they showed up for everything. I never went without. I was fortunate, went to pretty good, I went to private, university, so everything was very good. We also had a dark side to our family. And my father didn't know how to manage his own emotions. And so when he would get upset or fail to manage himself, then it would end up in explosive situations. And I wouldn't say that that was necessarily my driving force for leaving the country, but it also didn't give me a reason to stay. So when I went overseas and started doing all of the things that I was doing, then you don't have like that balance because you don't have that family kind of keeping you grounded, if that makes sense. And then when you just focus on work, your internal gauge is thrown off. So when I needed to slow down, and when I was thinking about coming back to the US, part of my journey to balance was doing Vipassana, because I knew how to be a human doing, but I didn't know how to be a human being. So the first time that I tried doing Vipassana, I thought it was crazy. And somebody honestly said they didn't think that I could do 10 days of silence. Jessica Corvo in 10 days of silence does not happen. and as a human doing, I'm like, okay, challenge accepted. It can't be that hard. and all the different things, the working, the, crazy thinking, the domestic violence, family abuse, being 10 steps ahead, having that crisis management, ingrained at so many different levels. It took a while to kind of slow down my system. And then the third day, I remember my very first 10-day retreat, I wanted to leave. I wanted to escape. I thought I was going crazy. On day number 3, I legit heard the music from the leaves. You don't hear music from leaves normally, but for me, I did. I could hear, because I slowed down my system, right? I could hear the clouds dancing. I could hear, like the ants marching. I could hear, a symphony of the leaves and like all of nature. And it was overwhelming. I thought I was going crazy because I'm used to the city noise. I'm used to the talking. I'm used to everything else. But when I started doing Vipassana, I learned how to ignore and shut down all the external noise so that I could listen to the internal noise, which was crazy noisy. And then once I managed my internal noise, I could appreciate a different layer of my external world.
Apart from the recommendation we can give to the audience of visiting Vipassana the first 10 days, what can you, from your personal transformation, because you just mentioned it, that it's the noise inside and to put out the noise outside. Any recommendation you can give us, especially now here in Austria, we have again a lockdown. So mostly the people are inside, a lot of conflict potential, as you experienced also. Any recommendation you can give us?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really difficult to get to go to a 10-day retreat. It's beautiful because you don't think about anything. You give them your phone, you sign a waiver, and then they do all your meals, they give you a place to sleep, and they take care of everything. So you have nothing to worry about other than yourself. I think in context of the pandemic or World 2.0, it might be difficult to do that. But if you can, as baby steps, micro steps, maybe just try a day without any social media. Try a day with absolute silence. I mean, if you can't do a day, try 12 hours when you're conscious, not 12 hours sleeping, 12 hours conscious. And that's different. It's like, oh, I can go 12 hours without talking. But are you sleeping? That doesn't
like in the
count.
meditation, 10 hours, no? 10 days. Just
I was so peaceful, I fell asleep. No, but I think that, you know, having that mindfulness is just such an important part of every single one of my businesses, and just have that increasing awareness and to have that presence. Because for me, I do take a lot of the principles of all the different tools, and specific to Vipassana, it's, you know, observe the body to master the mind. So a perfect example would be when I first started, you know, you're slowing down the mind, you don't really understand kind of all the different things that are going on. You just know Italian, short-tempered, right? The fiery heart, the Italians, very passionate, right? And after doing, you know, a Vipassana course, rather than just acknowledging that this emotion is coming up, number one, why am I associating a society term to it? Is that passion? Is that aggression? Why am I attaching these labels to it? These labels make me feel a little bit of agitation, and then it creates something that wasn't already there, right? But if I go to Vipassana practices without labeling anything and just observing what's happening, it's so powerful, because then I can feel the different nuances. Like, okay, I can feel the goosebumps starting. I can feel the volcanoes, the thousands of different volcanoes that are erupting. I can sense the different temperature, you know, difference between an inhale versus the exhale. I can feel the nose hairs dancing around, you know, as like you're taking a breath. And these things are, you're observing. And as you observe the body and all the different things that are happening, and doing like the body scans and all this other stuff, you don't necessarily attach what you assume is an emotion or a social construct to what you're actually feeling. It allows you to, again, unplug from society, figure out what's actually happening, and then it allows you to see your external world from your own purification. That's on how I've been able to get through Vipassana and apply it into my world.
and what would be this from this great accomplishment, like the truth, or the truth in plural that you found, and how did you translate it into another way of living, in another way of also doing your business, no?
I think a lot of it is going from operating from ego versus operating from heart, right? So when you're a female, you have all sorts of opportunities to have a chip on your shoulder. So being American, internationally, we don't have the best reputation. So people watch movies that are sorority girls that are in their pajamas and having pillow fights, or people that have drinking problems. And internationally, this is the reputation that we have. And so when you're in a corporate context, your ego and that chip on your shoulder is to prove them wrong. I'm competent. I'm smart. I'm able to get this job done. And I'm probably going to do it better than you. That's all ego, right? So for me, a lot of my world was operating from that place to try to prove myself, or to try to accomplish something against whatever society was telling me that I can't, right? Then after going through Vipassana, then it shifted from even having that awareness. At the time, I didn't know I was operating from ego. You just set a goal, accomplish the goal, done. You don't know that you're operating from ego. And then once you go through a process of getting, returning back to home or getting back to your basics, then you have the discernment on, oh, that was an ego moment. Oh, this is a heart moment. Oh, this is, where is it coming from? Where's the attachment? What is the intention from it? And even though climbing corporate ladders was because I made a promise to my mother to financially take care of her, that comes from my heart. It was executed through my ego. Different, right? Then once you go through Vipassana, then it's just like, okay, I want to help people. And then it's, do I really want to help them? No, I want to empower them. So helping them is ego, empowering them comes from my heart. So for me, my coaching business, I only work with people for 8 weeks. Why? Because if they can't accomplish their goals within 8 weeks after working with me, I failed them. I don't want to work with them for more than 8 weeks. I want to get them empowered. I want to give them as many tools as possible. And I want to get them into a place where they can apply this into everything in their world, personal, professional, doesn't matter, anything. So that operates from my heart because my goal is always to give them pour as much love and have as much confidence and as much big energy into them as humanly possible so that they know what is possible and what they can accomplish. And that is a lot of thanks to my journey through Vipassana, because that was one of the most powerful tools to help me connect with myself and come from that place where every day is Saturday and I can just laugh.
That's greatly say. It reminds me a lot of Erich Fromm, who wrote like To Be and To Have, and also this being, from the heart. And I also remember the teacher of Goenka when he said, don't teach them how to fish. Don't fish for them. That would be help from the ego, but rather show them how to fish. But how do you, for example, the people, certain customers, certain enterprises, that organizations that contact you, maybe they haven't done the Vipassana, or maybe they are too serious or too ego-driven, and they say, oh, from the heart, what is she saying? What is she talking about? How can you, well, with me and with the audience, I'm surely you connect, I can feel it, but maybe you can tell us a little bit more about this process.
Yeah, so I think a couple different components, right? So corporates have a culture. All corporates will start small, right? So it starts with like one or two founders, and then it starts to expand. A lot of times the company culture will shift once it expands too big, too fast, right? Because it's not manageable for a lot of people. So it's a little bit difficult to have that same intention as it scales. So that's like one opportunity, right? Another opportunity is if the leaders of the company don't have the right intention or the right priorities, then that can trickle down. So it's what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Is the culture compromised because of the employees taking advantage of a system, or is the culture compromised because of the management operating from a different chakra or a different place of maybe profits before people or something, right? So I think when we're looking in the context of work environments and whether or not it's healthy or not, I think the barrier of entry is because people want to find fault rather than focus on responsibility. So if they're focusing on fault and they're saying it's because of management or it's because of the employees, I won't work with them. There's nothing, there's no amount of money that will get me into that door to have that conversation, because it isn't about fault. It is about responsibility. We acknowledge the situation for what it is and what do we need to do in order to move forward. And it's literally that simple. And then it's a holistic approach for all of it. It doesn't matter why they come to see me. It matters with how they're coming to see me. So if they're not hitting their financial targets, let's have a chat. If they have high turnover, let's have a chat. If they're, struggling in context of pandemic where it's different to manage teams remotely, let's have a chat. if the intention is let's fix a problem, 100%, we'll find a way to make it work. And
Yeah,
that is the difference between a leader that, whether or not they've gone through Vipassana, they have the right intention. And this is what I look for when I'm looking for whether or not I'm going to accept a contract, or whether or not I'm going to actively pitch to try to be picked.
yeah. So I totally agree, and you change, I guess, the paradigm for many people, because normally we think not so proactively, no, that you can choose the customers you want to work with. So you don't accept every customers, no, as you mentioned. You can talk, but other people from the audience would maybe say, what if I don't have enough customers? I have to work with the customers who present themselves. Will I have enough money if I can choose, or if I say no to the people, not to the potential customers? I don't know if you can understand what I mean, because mostly we of course we want proactive customers, but also sometimes we, as offering something, we are not in the proactive role. No, I don't know if I get the point.
Yeah, I think I understand your
That's
question. To me, what you're asking is about compromising. So number one, it's knowing, having such a strong sense of self. And part of having a strong sense of self, even in context of Vipassana, is that concept purification, right? So sharing a story. If you put a frog in hot water, what is the frog going to do?
It jumps out.
Right? It's a famous story. We were just talking about this story in one of my classes, because just before this I had 2 classes.
I know that story. So you have
Yeah.
to put very slowly up the temperature, no? So it stays inside.
But this is normalization, right? So if you go and walk into an environment and it's not healthy, it's like hot water. So you can dip in, but then you jump out because you know that this is not a good place to be, right? But if you're a business owner and you don't know what is healthy yet, right? And you're just dipping your toes in, you're taking whatever comes at you, no problem. I'll make it work. Then the exposure is, you have to be very careful to what you're normalizing, because that could be cooking the frog, because that means it's slow. The frog only jumps out if it knows it's going into hot water. If the frog is in cold water and then the temperature continues to increase, it will cook the frog. So it's okay. I mean, everything's acceptable. So if you need to accept, because you still got to pay your bills, right? It is what it is. It's all part of the process. So if you have to make a couple allowances, especially in early days, then just make sure that you understand your North Star, you understand your intention. This is short term to get me here. This is not my final stop. There's other ways around it too. You can go and, contact people that you admire on social media and just say, these are the services that I do. I want to learn something from you. Can I work for you for a couple of months in exchange for your testimony? Or can I work, with you in exchange for something? It doesn't always have to be a financial exchange. It can be, I saw this was something that you're working on with your business. This is one of your pain points. These are the people that are willing to do me a favor. Can we have like a healthy exchange? As long as you're being transparent, you're letting other people make the decision. You're not trying to be deceptive. So there's no problem with this, right? So I think, again, 2 different ways to approach it is, one, sometimes if you have to take the money, that's okay. Just always know to purify so that you know the difference between cold water and hot water, you being the frog. And then the other way is, if you don't know and you're afraid of the normalization or the conditioning, then try to find somebody else and start pitching to them.
Great. How do you combine the sports and the nutrition? Because we mentioned the Ironman and also the nutrition stuff, no?
Yeah.
I just saw Seaspiracy on Netflix. I don't know if you have seen this documentary about
which one?
Seaspiracy. Sea and piracy together. It's about the overfishing of the oceans, etc. So,
Okay.
wow, very impacting.
Yeah.
And you always are between veganism, vegetarianism, eating meat, yes, no. What is your perspective from the nutrition point of view? Also combining it with the topics you work on and that we are discussing, and
Yeah,
also
absolutely.
the sport as a lifestyle, as yeah.
Yeah, I mean, health is a lifestyle. It's not just a box to tick. It's a lifestyle. The building that I live in, it's a little bit older of a building. It's a commercial building, and I have to walk up and down 3 flights of stairs, just to get to my apartment, which I love. A lot of people, they won't like that. They're like, man, this is, where's the elevator? This is a pain. For me, I'm like, okay, shoulders back, chest out, squeeze the butt. I'm getting a workout. Yeah. As I'm like holding my groceries. And I'm like, this is good. This is good. And so it's about framing, right? And it's about how you create the joy in all these different moments. And I think when you're having nutrition, I don't believe in diets, I believe in nutrition. So every time that you eat something, it's gratitude with like, oh, I'm able to celebrate my body. This is how I'm going to honor my body. This is how I'm going to treat it. And when you kind of view it from that point, you start looking at food a lot differently. You start seeing like, okay, if this is on how I'm celebrating, what am I celebrating it with? Am I celebrating it with, a cake? Am I celebrating it with a big, bowl of fruit? And what type of fruit am I having? It becomes a place of curiosity. And I think when you have that curiosity, everything just becomes a lot easier. So in the US, you have things that might look good, but it doesn't feel good. So with food, perfect example, you can go and get the biggest, most beautiful apples in the entire world. But then once you eat the apple, it doesn't make you feel good. So for me, I think that is on how they're connected, because I use nutrition as number one to honor and celebrate, but then number two as fuel. So having this active lifestyle, if I want to go up and down these stairs multiple times a day, what do I need for my body to make this happen? If I want to go for a 6-hour bike ride, what do I need to make that happen? If I am just saying, oh, I'm 37 years old, I'm about, I don't know, 14% body mass, like body fat index or something like this. My muscles are even on both sides, almost to an exact number. I sleep well, my face looks okay, and I can fit into clothes that I wore in high school when I was 18 years old. Let's celebrate. So there's a bunch of different things that are going to be different. I know some of my clients, they're moms, and they don't look the same as me, but they celebrate just as much because their body created life. So I think that is like a big thing that people don't really understand about nutrition, because nutrition is a celebration. Nutrition is fuel. Nutrition is a way to honor this magical vehicle that we were given. I mean, and also being able to live in different countries, you can taste the difference in food. The apples in the US are very different from the apples in Singapore and even in China.
Wonderfully said about honoring your body, your temple. Really,
Yeah.
really. From this perspective, I haven't seen it, so very nice, like you're saying it. Something else you want to mention? I could listen, and probably we all could listen hours and hours, but something else you would like to mention? Maybe what about the Ironman? How did you came up to do an Ironman, the triathlon? Sorry.
Yeah, so funny story. So my father and I have we're estranged, but we had a very turbulent relationship for a very long time. And my mother and father wanted to renew their wedding vows, their 25th wedding vows, my senior year of college. So being an athlete, we made it to nationals, which is the highest in the US. When you're in high school, you go to state. When you're in college, you go to nationals. So that's like the best that you can do. And I was at that level. So we were doing relays. So it was the 4x4 relay, one loop around the track per girl. And we made it to nationals, and we had a family discussion on, who's going to be at nationals, because mom and dad want to get their wedding vows renewed. It was the same weekend. And it was like, yeah, it's okay, no problem. So my dad was upset. So every time we would have a fight, or every time he would get upset about something, even though we agreed that they get their wedding vows renewed, I go to nationals, my brother came to my race, no problem, no problems at all. It was something that my dad was very upset about. So as an adult, I was like, well, I can't go back to college. I can't go back to nationals. It's not possible. What can I do to make my dad feel important, to make my dad feel loved, and to make my dad feel that he's still my dad? And so I decided to do the Ironman. And I had said, okay, I don't know how to swim. I don't own a bike, but I know how to run. I've been a runner for a long time. I mean, nationals, track, 400. That's what I did. And I said, if I do an Ironman, will you be my coach? It will take me 1 year. And if you help me through this, this is my gift to you. So we can't talk about nationals anymore, because you're going to be at this race. Can we agree? Deal.
Wow.
And he said yes. So I let him pick the race. I gave him 3 races. It was, I think, Lake Placid. So it was in New York. There was one in Florida, and then there was the North American Championships. And my father, bless his heart, he obviously picked the North American Championships, because why would you do anything other than the best? And so that's what we did. So I signed up for the race. I started my training. Every Friday we had check-ins. So it would be Saturday morning his time, because he's in Chicago, and then Friday night my time in Singapore, because I was in Singapore when I was training. And usually I was making a big pot of something, so soup, pasta, something. And then my dad was running errands, and we would just have a FaceTime, a video chat. He'd ask about my week. He would ask about my training. He'd ask about my food. He was a pretty talented athlete in his own right. He was a hockey player. I come from a hockey family. And so, yeah, and it was good, because he was able to, tell me what I was doing right, tell me what I was doing wrong, and help me get to that finish line. And I did. So it's that athlete mindset. And yeah, I just stuck with it.
So this athlete mindset, of course, helps you also in business, in personal stuff. No?
Everything. Solution-based. Everything.
Totally. And achieve, just do it, no? Because in the age of procrastination, and you mentioned you weren't very good at swimming and biking, no?
Oh,
so,
no, I had water
and you
anxiety.
still did it.
I learned how to swim 4 months before my Ironman.
Wow.
I had 3 coaches fire me. They in Singapore, it was so funny, because you don't know what you don't know. So you're just asking everybody, I don't know how to swim. Who's going to teach me how to swim? How do I do this? You jump on the internet, you're looking at YouTube videos, you're going to the pool, and you're trying to find anybody that knows how to swim, and you're following them, and nothing was working. And I finally started, asking around for coaches. And the first coach said, when's your race? Based on my race, they said, we're not helping you. There's no way. If you don't even know how to do this, I can't teach you. I'm like, oh my goodness. The second one, after 1 week, was trying to teach me survival skills. They wanted to teach me how to side stroke. I'm like, I'm not doing an Ironman on a side stroke. No. Could you imagine? You're just like, oh, don't Ironman, we're good.
There you work your resilience.
Yeah, right. And finally,
I
had to talk with myself. I'm like, Jess, it's time to get to work. Let's do this. And the last coach, bless his heart, his name is Alex, and he runs an organization called Sea Monsters in Singapore. I love him to bits, and I love the whole group. They kept everything fun, and they helped me accomplish my goal. And I remember the first day I went up to him and I had said, can I join your group? And he was like, he looked at me, and I didn't think he thought I was serious at first. And he was like, what race? And I was emotional, and I was just like, I have a race coming up. I keep getting fired by these coaches, but I'm determined. I got to do it, because this is for my dad. So I got to do it. And he said, okay, if you miss 1 practice, you're done. I won't help you. And I said, fine, done. And he's like, how fast can you swim, 100 meters? I don't know. I can run 457 seconds. So I'm like, I don't know, a minute. And he was like, really, a minute? And I was like, okay. So he made me jump into the pool and I couldn't. I was like doggy paddling and, treading water. And he just started laughing and he was like, okay, you're over here. And so he put me in a different lane and we got to work. And so I was in that group and it was consistent. I had 3 days of swimming, on my own. I had every Wednesday was with him and the group. And yeah, we crushed it. And he didn't give up on me. And I promised him, he was one of the first people that I brought my medal to when I went back to Singapore after my race. And I'm like, hey, coach, look it. I did it. Thank you.
Wow. Wow, very inspiring. What was your time for the swimming during the
The
Ironman?
swimming was 31 minutes. I wanted 33 minutes. So I finished in 31. It was 2.4 miles.
3.2 kilometers, no?
Yeah, for a kilometer. So in miles, it's 2.4 miles for the swim, which, what is that, 3.6 kilometers?
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
or 3.2. I don't know. I've
Incredible,
been detached
incredible.
from kilometers for a while.
Well, maybe the last question, or if you want to add something else, any recommendation, any book you are reading, or are you writing on your own book? Well, our life is our own book, but I mean, any recommendation you can give us concerning your work, the topics we are discussing?
Yeah, absolutely. So my signature program, I have two of them. One is called Be Your Own Hero, and that specifically helps people connect with themselves at a deeper level and then have that strength despite whatever's going on externally. At moment, and for the past 2.5, 3 years, a lot of that has been for adolescents, so more for like the teenagers, and for community programs, mostly with people that deal with family violence. And then the second program is called Cultivate a Warrior Mindset. So Cultivate a Warrior Mindset is for my corporate people. And it doesn't talk about violence. It's just talking about the mind and how to overcome any kind of adversity. And because of consistency with this program, I've been invited to be a co-author for a book specifically to talk about this process.
Wow.
So companies can hire me to do a workshop, or in a couple months they can buy the book. And I'll be sharing it, a couple pages or a chapter rather in this book. In terms of my own personal book, that's, there's a couple books that have been written, but nothing published yet. I'm a little bit of a scaredy cat. I prefer to do in person. But yeah, there's every week I'm reading something different. I like to reread books a lot of the time. So it means I have, my favorites. Then depending on where I am in life, I'll pick up the book and I'll read it again. My staples are Paulo Coelho, the Manual of the Warrior of Light.
Beautiful book.
So that's like one of my favorites. The reason why I like it is because it's very short anecdotes and it helps set the tone for the whole day. Sometimes we don't read books because it's too much to read. This keeps it easy, keeps it digestible, helps me maintain my focus, and kind of frames my day. So that's, one of my secret weapons, like on the regular. I have a whole bunch of language books in my bathroom because everything is about efficiency in my world and creating joy. So it means every time I go to the bathroom, whether it's to brush my teeth, wash my face, go to the bathroom, take a shower, I mean, anything, right? I have an opportunity to learn a word in Arabic, Chinese, Spanish, Italian. I have Eastern European. So there's, a combination of about 10 different cultures for the Eastern European. And language, I think, is beautiful just because it helps with connecting. It helps with kind of understanding what the focus is for like other people, what their priorities are. So if I were to ask you, could you teach me something in your language? Whatever you decide to teach me is usually what's important to you. So that helps. It helps as a point of connection. And if you can return, oh, you teach me something in your language, and I say, wait a second, I know a word or maybe two words in that same language. Now you feel connected to me because It's like, oh, it's a respect, it's an appreciation. So I think, any language book is just, I'm not fluent, but I know random words. And so for me, I think that's important for conversation topics. And then, yeah. And right now I'm in business school. So there's a lot of books that we're reading specifically to build the strategy and to help go to scale. So there's
You're doing
there's a lot
business
of
school now.
The which one?
Business school? You're doing business
Yes.
school? Oh,
Yes.
wow.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
constantly learning.
I realized that, even with, so, okay, take a step back. Everything in my world is about a solution. If somebody comes to me with a problem, I have a solution for them. If they're not feeling well, come and join my fitness class. If they're not eating well, here's my plan for nutrition. We can do eat real food, we can do supplements. I have both. If their work environment is no longer good for them, okay, here's my coaching, or here's my corporate wellness programs. Both, no problem. And so very solution-based. With that, sometimes it can be a little complicated because people don't always understand if you do so many different things, they don't think you're good at it.
Mhm.
And so sometimes that's a bit of a problem from a branding and a marketing perspective, because even though for me, it's not like I did everything at once. It's my fitness is based off of 20 years of being an athlete, and then 2 years of study, and then 2 years of teaching classes. Pandemic, I've already taught close to 500 classes virtually.
Wow.
So that's based on
Had a
actual,
lot of
knowledge
experience.
and experience. Yeah. And then for my nutrition, that's based on me being 37 years old, never having any kind of problems, health-wise, or no broken bones, nothing like this, and being able to heal and grow.
Me also.
Yeah. And so people don't
Also
always
37
understand that.
and no
Yeah.
bones
And people,
broken.
yeah. And people don't always understand, the work that goes into it. So that's a lifestyle, because that's, again, with nutrition, because nutrition helps you. So if you mess up on your nutrition, this is when people get sick. When you mess up on your nutrition, this is when people get hurt. So it's a combination of that physical exertion and then not having the fuel in your tank, right? So I have a lifetime of that experience, and then also going through the Ironman process, going from a single sport to multi-sport athlete. That's pretty legit. You got to understand food very, very, very well to understand how to fuel your system. And then, the same thing with the corporate, working in corporate for millionaires, billionaires, Fortune 500 companies, all the way up to the top to C-level, over 10 years of experience with that. All of that knowledge gets put into like my businesses and the different solutions that I offer to people. The best part is I do it simple. I don't like to repeat things. I'm kind of lazy sometimes. Like, we already solved this. Why are we doing it again? Let's do something new. And so I think from that perspective, I recognize that I was missing something, whether it's the big picture or whether or not how I'm conveying myself, or maybe even just the confidence. I don't know. So you don't know what you don't know. Let's get back to basics and let's go back to school. So start at day one and put everything together.
Nice. What a pity that you're in Chicago. Otherwise, I would go for the training.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's virtual. So everything is, no shoes, no shoes. Everything is, just bring the heart is the biggest muscle. So we focus,
That's true.
we crush it. We build those muscles.
Maybe, well, actually, there was the last question, but 2 short questions on the, you mentioned the nutrition. How is, maybe if you give us an example of the nutrition on a daily basis of yours, on your concrete example, and also how is the day, and not only your activities, but the average day. Of course, every day is different, but also from your mindset, from your thoughts, etc. It's a huge question, actually, of Jessica Corvo.
Okay. So we'll do the same day in 3 different perspectives.
Okay.
Yeah?
Wow. Cool.
This will be fun.
Creative.
Okay. So yesterday, 2 days ago, we had record high for temperature. So 75, 80 degrees, beautiful. Yesterday, the temperature dropped maybe about 30 degrees, and then it was rainy.
It's Fahrenheit, right? With you.
Fahrenheit,
Oh,
Fahrenheit,
Fahrenheit, okay.
yes, Fahrenheit. And so that's the context of the day, right? So the context is we just had a bunch of very sunny days and very nice, and then we had a rainy day. So on the rainy day where it started getting cold, the first thing I'm going to take you through the physical activities. Okay, so I'll do physical, nutrition, and then mind. That's on how we'll do it. Cool? Easy. Okay. So what I say, physical, right? So, okay, so starting with physical, I got up in the morning, I stretched, I
What
looked
time
out the
did you wake
window.
up?
Usually it's anywhere between, my alarm is set for 6:42, and usually I'm awake before my alarm. So that's just like my, in case I oversleep. But usually it's right around maybe like 5:30, 5:45. I don't grab my phone in the morning, so I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, so it's usually about an hour before my alarm. So yeah, so I woke up, I stretched. I came into my living room, like my kitchen, dining room, kitchen area, whatever. It's a 1-bedroom apartment. So I have my bedroom and then the community room. And in my community room, I have a bunch of plants in my window. So I greeted my plants. And then as I greet my plants, I go and I make myself a shake. After I have a shake, then I have a glass of water or like a half of a Nalgene of water. Then I go ahead and yeah, good for you. And then I went ahead and I did a little bit of writing. And then
Writing?
A little bit
Okay.
of writing. Yeah. And then I went and made breakfast. I had 2 eggs, a bagel, and then some potatoes.
I'm
And
getting hungry.
yeah, and I have green onions. So green onions from my garden. So it's pretty good. And
Green
then
onions.
green onions.
Are there green onions? I didn't know. Wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So it
I
was
see them.
like
Wow.
the chives. So the chives. So I had the chives. And then sorry, I mixed it up between food and physical activity.
No
But yeah.
problem.
And then I had 2
I need
classes. So I had
some.
Zumba Kids. And then I had my adult class, we worked on lower body. And then I had a 45-minute bike ride, 2 hours of dog walking, and then a 45-minute bike ride. And then I came home walking up and down 3 flights of stairs with a bicycle on my arms. And then, yeah, and then I did a little bit of stretching, a lot of hydration. And then that was kind of from a physical component, right? From the food component, I ate at right around 7 o'clock, 10 o'clock. I had a nutrition bar, like a supplement bar, right after my class before my bike ride. So that was right around 1 o'clock. And then I had some carrots. I had a cookie. That was my cheat.
Only one?
And then, yeah, just one. And then when I came home, I had leftover chicken pot pie. So I made this big chicken pot pie that had chicken, white potato, carrots, celery, a little bit of ginger, and then just like roasted chicken inside. And then it had like a crispy top. So I had that. And then maybe about 3 hours later, I had a big pot of ginger lemon tea. In between there, I had maybe 3 oranges, a half a bowl of pineapple and melon, like cantaloupe, and then a handful of grapes. So that's kind of, all the things that I kind of had like throughout. I do a lot of snacking, but I snack very healthy. I mean, right now I have right in front of me, I have a mango, I have a bowl of oranges, I have tomatoes, I have grapes in my refrigerator, I have cantaloupe, and then I also have I also have pineapples. I have lots of things that I can grab like on the go, no problem. And sliced up celery and sliced up carrot sticks, always. I have dip. I have, what do I have? Hummus. So chickpeas. I always have usually some kind of like chickpea dip around. So yeah. And then
Wow.
mentally, it's very important. Same day, it was rainy. So I'm like, okay, today my bike gets a bath. That's what I started the day thinking. Okay, because I knew I had to, not had to, but I knew I was able to go on a bike ride. So I had said, okay, I'm still going to go on the bike ride. And since it's rainy, I don't have to wash my bike. The bike is going to get, a bath. So I set the day with the intention of simplicity. And since I didn't go and grab my phone, it's calm. So it gives me time to start my day with a positive outlook on a day that was a little chilly, gratitude and community, because I talked to all my plants, and then just peace. And then I dipped into, after I ate, after I had my shake and drank my water, then I hopped into LinkedIn. I think I was in LinkedIn before I did my writing. Writing is usually to kind of harmonize whatever needs to come out. And then LinkedIn is just because that's my favorite playground. So I get to drop love, share love everywhere on LinkedIn. So it's my favorite, and respond to people. And I think throughout the whole day, it was a little bit cold than I was used to, but you put on a couple layers, you get to, celebrate with animals, you get to have a great time, and life is good. There's no problems. It's, a couple times people aren't paying attention. So if you're on the bicycle and you have to worry about, people trying to hit you because they're just not paying attention, especially if it's raining, it could be dangerous. But for me, no, I ask my guardian angels, keep me safe today and let's get a good workout in, and then no problem. And as you're going, you have that awareness. So if a car is getting too close, you stop. No problem. You stop and you let them pass.
Very positive and inspiring, also about your angel guardian.
Yeah.
And maybe the last message to our audience, because it is raining, and maybe sometimes we have negative thoughts and we say, oh, the shitty rain, I don't want to work out, oh, I will be wet, I don't want today, a depression, anxiety, and all this. Do you also feel that, and how do you tackle it, or any recommendation for
Yeah, well, I'm
us?
really excited. I'm really excited that this like went into mental health, because May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And I am so excited because I am highlighting so many different aspects of mental health. So I've asked a lot of my friends that have either been diagnosed with clinical things, or people that have, proactively managed, or people that have gone from health to illness and back to health. I mean, everything is being discussed. We have coaches, therapists, doctors, academics, survivors, everything. So the whole month is going to be a celebration. So in addition to my perspective, you can hear it from a whole bunch of other people on how they manage this. And for me, I think when it's a rainy day, the first things that come to mind are evaluating, what am I doing, and the logistics. So how is the weather going to affect the logistics of my day? That's the first thing that I think about. I don't know why, but that's the first thing. And then the second thing that I think about is, once I solve that problem or address it, then I just have gratitude. So when it's raining, since I have all the plants in my windows, it was, okay, are my plants warm? That was number one. And then number two is, oh, they get different water. They get water from the sky rather than water from the tap. And so it's a treat. I think it's a treat for my plants. And so I think when you approach things with that kind of wonder and that kind of curiosity and that kind of gratitude, it just makes things so much easier. Because I could have very easily said, oh my goodness, okay, my feet are going to get wet. It's going to be slippery. It might be dangerous. If I'm walking a dog, that's going to be messy. I mean, there's ways that you can add unnecessary pressure to yourself. Or on the other side, if you accept it for what it is, the rain is cleaning up the sidewalks. The rain is quenching the thirst for the plants.
Yeah, beautifully said, also poetically. And I guess we have to contact with ourselves to be conscious about this, because it's easy if you don't control the mind that some negative thoughts come up,
Yeah.
and we don't see it maybe the way you present it, no? And so many questions come up. What I wanted to ask, but definitely the last two questions, they are connected. Actually, it's one question about personal organization, because you mentioned all the things you have done. Do you have, not only on the macro level, but also on the micro, for example, how do you see yourself in 1 year, in 5 years, in 10 years, on all senses, financially, personally, relationships, etc., but also on your day-to-day basis, on your week goals, etc.? Or how does Jessica work on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So my North Star is called the sacred space.
Cool.
So I'm so excited. So the sacred space is a bed and breakfast. It's going to be an 8-bedroom bed and breakfast. It's going to have 4 goats, garlic, onion, salt, pepper. It's going to have 9 chickens, which are going to be Santa's reindeer, because there's nine reindeers. And then it's going to have a big garden filled with all sorts of different, fruits and vegetables and everything. And I'm going to be friends with all of my neighbors. So I'll have the Italian grannies, because it'll be in Italy. So I'll have the Italian grannies that are going to make me
Toscana,
pasta.
or where? Or Sicily?
I think I want to do it in Tuscany. I found a place that I really like in Tuscany. So we'll see. Once the borders open, maybe I'll be in Italy sooner, but this is the plan. This is my North Star. And yeah, and just to, be able to have like a beehive and have a place where people can come and visit. And if they don't have community, they can just, hang out for as long as they want. If they want to train for Ironman, if they just need a break from life, come hang out. And so the sacred space, a place for people to genuinely unplug from society to reconnect with self. But it's not like rehabilitation. So you don't take a course, you just come here and then you hang out, and then you make a donation for somebody else to do the same work.
Like Vipassana.
Exactly. And so everything that I do, I ask myself, is this activity bringing me closer to Italy? Is this activity bringing me closer to my sacred space? And if the answer is no, it doesn't make it into my diary at all. There's no negotiation with that. The answer is no. And so that's the importance of having like that North Star. So what do I need to do that? So you have the financial side. So here are like the businesses that I have and what are my targets? You have the skill building side. What does it take to manage chickens? What does it take to manage goats? What does it take to manage a garden? So I was joking with one of my friends, because I haven't been dating. When I came back to the US, I had a vow of celibacy for about 2 years. I sidestepped, I dated somebody, it did not work out. He was not healthy. And I decided I'm back to no dating. And so when my friends asked me, I think that's sad that you're not dating. Why not? And I said, because for me, if he doesn't know how to collect chicken eggs or have goats or grow a garden, I think that's my new level of entry. These are the skills that I want. So if I'm going to date somebody, he has to teach me these things.
So look at on LinkedIn, maybe you find somebody with the skills. You can
I'm only
endorse
looking
the
for farmers,
skills.
apparently. So you got to be a farmer or a rancher to get my attention.
There are surely many in Italy, many farmers.
Yes. And then so I think, and then personally, everything is about maintaining that energy. So when you're very clear about what you want, the universe works in such funny ways. They will give you exactly what you want, and then they're going to test you, and they're going to give you a distraction to test your loyalty to your goal. And so a lot of people don't realize that. So for me, this is why I have to have that discernment. Is this bringing me closer? Yes or no? Because the universe will give me, problematic clients. If you have one problematic client, that is going to affect your energy for everything else. and you might not be of good service to somebody. So is it worth it? That could compromise all of your businesses. Is it worth it? Is the money worth it? You always have to ask yourself, what is this going to do for everything else? How is everything connected? And then in order for me personally, I can only serve my community if I'm healthy. So it's making sure that I'm eating well. It's making sure I have my physical activity. It's making sure that I'm drinking my water. It's making sure that, you get adequate sleep and you turn off the phone at 10 o'clock at night and you don't turn it back on until 10 o'clock in the morning.
Disconnecting in all senses also with the cell phone, social media, and all this.
Yeah. I mean, we even have one of these sessions for mental health awareness is specifically going to be talking about a tech detox. So what happens what are the benefits? I mean, what are the things that we think versus what are the benefits of being able to turn off those mobile devices? So, I mean, it's incredible on how connected everything is. And that's just what, I'm in like that space and I'm managing like that energy and I'm around like all these people that are just amplifying and amplifying and amplifying. So it's a good space to be in.
Wow. Very inspiring. I hope it's not the last time we talk, Jessica. And I'm actually close to Italy. So if you are in Tuscany learning how to deal with the chickens, we see us definitely soon. And if not, also definitely soon, because there are so many questions and topics we could talk with you. And I hope you send us the link so we can also put it about the mental health issues that the conference.
The two big things are going to be for the Mental Health Awareness Month. So anybody that wants, most of it's going to be complimentary. I have such a strong community that people want to donate their time and share their story in order to help and empower other people. And so a majority of this stuff is going to be complimentary. There's a couple things that are going to be donation, and then maybe a handful are going to be more corporate oriented. So either a corporate will be sponsoring it or corporates will be, buying it or something. I'm not 100% sure. We have 18 different collaborations that are already confirmed from 12 different countries. So it's going to be a pretty big deal. So that's going to be awesome.
Where can the audience find more about your work and contact you through the homepage?
LinkedIn is where I'm very active. So if you want to see the exchanges, like LinkedIn is definitely. Otherwise, my website, jessicacorvo.com, it has everything in there for like the fitness, the nutrition, the coaching. My program, again, is 8 weeks. I get you in, I get you on path, and we get you out for that joy, that peace, those big smiles, where everyone is questioning, are they sane? It's not normal to have that much fun.
Well, thank you very much. And really was a pleasure. And I will think about the words I will teach you, because you mentioned from one language, no?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't want to embarrass myself because it takes me a while for pronunciation. So we're going to have to do that on the side. And then the next time we have a podcast, I'll be able to say it perfectly.
Perfect, because I was thinking of a difficult word in German that is Donaudampfschifffahrtsgesellschaftskapitänswitwenmeister. But we will practice.
So just for German, and I know there's a small nuance between, like, there's Northern German and Southern German, and then there's also Swiss German
and Austrian German
and Austrian German. Yeah, there's so many different types, but I don't know what type of German it is, but like ich will dich küssen.
yeah, well, you know what it means.
Well, so one of my German friends, I said, teach me something in German, and that's what they taught me. And I was like,
this was the guy you were dating.
No, so they just said, no, just say it. So as I'm going around, I'm like, oh, ich will dich küssen. And they said, they wouldn't tell me what it meant. It was just say it, just say it, just say it. Okay, fine. Once my pronunciation was okay, we were in, I think we were in like a subway or like a train station of some sort, right? So my friend was just like, go say what I taught you over to like the guy over there. He speaks German. So I do. So I'm just like, okay, I trust my friends, right? Ich will dich küssen. And the guy goes, ja? And I was like, and my friend starts laughing. He's like, no. So I guess I wanted a kiss.
Sorry?
It's I learned that it was I want to kiss or something like that.
Yeah. Well, so for all the farmers in Italy, be prepared for this sentence in Italian.
Absolutely, absolutely. The Italians are different. They're very romantic. They're crazy. They're crazy. I remember the first time I went to Italy, everyone was asking me. I took the train from, I think I was in Rome down to Florence. And as soon as I got off the train, there's this guy, Claudio. Claudio was just like, where's your husband? And I said, I don't have a husband. And he's like, where's your boyfriend? And I said, I don't have a boyfriend. I was on a work trip. So I was traveling by myself. And he was just like, do you want me to be your boyfriend for the next couple of days? You're too pretty to be walking around by yourself. Excuse me. Welcome to Italy.
Very romantic. La dolce vita.
I thought he was stealing my bags, and he was like, women don't carry bags around me. And I was like, I think I can get along with Italy. I like this place. Never a dull moment. But yeah, so once I get to Italy, everyone is in trouble because with the goats and the chickens, I'll be so romantic with all of them and just teaching them all the fun things in life.
So that are nice closing words, closing remarks. So all the Italians that will be watching us, be prepared. Jessica is coming soon after lockdown, after COVID. Jessica, thanks again so much.
So much. Thank you so much for allowing me to be one of your guests. I had a really good time with you. Perfect.
Me too. And we hear soon. Bye-bye.
Absolutely.